Once upon a time, there was a warm-hearted baker with nothing much in his hands yet very much in his head. A dilapidated bakery was all to his earthly possession. As his engagement drew near, he was caught in despairing self-reproach. Unable to buy a proper ring for his dearest fiancée, yet too ashamed to admit his unconcealable poverty. Out of nowhere, he saw some leftover duff and nuts sparkling sanguinely on the nearby sunshine counter, and his eyes beamed with irresistible excitement. Guess his next move, shan't you? A lovely hint. The engagement went on as usual with the sweetest aftertaste of an unexpected ring-shaped accessory on the bride's finger. If you were an American, there wouldn't be any good reason for getting it wrong when life gives you duff and nuts. Make donuts! However, for Americans, donuts aren't just duff and nuts, they're a way of life. Long ago, donuts has made its mark as an emblem of the American fast food territory. A sugary fix, a budget-friendly mix, and a heavenly treat, all in one was not to love. Embroidered out the fabric of life, fast food came into existence as an indigenous solution to the American hustle and bustle style. Fast food of all kinds, specifically donuts, have woven their way into all walks of life, from stadiums, airports, campuses, and cafeterias to the most sumptuous hotels and cruises. Americans are crazy for donuts. Figures don't lie, with 96% falling head over heels for this sugary addictive. Trust me, you can never stop at just one donut. Donuts are celebrated in the US as a tribute to female donut makers, so-called Duffnut lassies, who fed World War I American soldiers on the National Duffnut Day, the first Friday of June annually. So how have donuts made their way into the hearts of millions of foodies worldwide? Donuts can be traced back to the Greco-Roman civilization with some subtle evidence. However, donuts were proven to hold more direct bearings with the olycooks, or olycooks with a Y, so-called fried doubles or oily cakes, made by the Dutch settler in the 17th or 18th century New York. Not until the mid-19th century did the signature ring-shaped donut make its debut. A young American sailor, Henson Gregory, was most commonly credited for the modern-day donut shape. In the old days, donuts or donuts precursors were overflowing with nuts happily cuddled in a thick blanket of dough. The problem was, however, the edges were perfectly crisp, leaving the central part too greasy and duffy to handle, essentially undercooked. Unhappy with the inconsistency of the fried cake served on the ship, he cut off the filling, unknowingly crafted a culinary masterpiece, a ring-shaped pastry, which could be cooked perfectly golden inside out and served with extra convenience. Bitterly, the donut hole was born out of frustration rather than invention. Nonetheless, what matters the most was that the donut hole has branded donuts as a global phenomenon that we endearingly cherish today. But something seems missing for now, right? Bing bong, the cut-off duff, the removed whole of donuts. What's the point for them to serve? Going to waste? A bit too wasteful, isn't it? Going to the oven? That's a big shout. In fact, the duff cuttings from donuts were revitalized, bringing themselves proudly onto the bakery shelves with a brand new look and a fancy name. Timbits in Canada or Munchkins in the US, presumably hailing from the movie The Wizard of Oz. Ever since, Munchkins led their own path in the Dunkin's menu rather than just donut spin-off. At first, the deep-fried treat wasn't reckoned as something that ever needed a name, sadly enough. So how did it become such a bell-ringing phenomenon of the modern-day culinary hemisphere? The journey from namelessness to donuts and then to donuts was not a bed of roses. Not until the early 19th century was donut first mentioned in its own sense by Washington Irving in his book A History of New York. Duff and nuts all at once, simple as that, though actual nuts in donuts might not sound equally intuitive for modern foodies. Another plausible account had it that nuts were technically absent from duck nuts at that time. Instead, it was the shape and size that gave duck nuts its nutty credit. Given that the early olicooks resembled crunchy, wrinkled walnuts when fried, later on duck nuts were Americanized, with its name intentionally cut short for strategic branding in the contemporary site-driven culture, an era where convenience was crowned over convention. And that's it, we have donuts as we do today. Life is fun if you know the way, and eating donuts is such a case. You can finish donuts in one note if you wish, or linger on with a bit of extra satisfaction and reward. Dunk it deep into a freshly brewed espresso for an exciting contrast of hot and cold. Your tongue will be shaking in happiness for sure. Or a dip of milk, probably. Like Oreos, let the sugary icings delve into the milky creaminess. What a heavenly treat. Or pull apart the Duffy treat and slice it into bite-sized bits for convenience sake. Or cut it in halves with knife and fork to enjoy the glaze without having to open your mouth too wide, almost like going to the dentist, a modest daughter to the loss of graces in the eyes of ladies supposedly. Or, more tempting and intuitive than anything, grab the sweet treat with bare hands and that's it. Dig into it with all vivid passion. All in all, eating donut is a highly personalized adventure, a truly sensory experience for the tongue, the nose, and the soul. Donuts are highly versatile and tolerant as a cultural ambassador, with its popularity crossing all national and societal boundaries, from the rich to the poor and from the west to the east. The foie gras donut, stuffed with hearty foie gras mousse, glazed with sweet sour blackberry sauce and elevated with charming black truffles, all in one fitted for royalty and nobility. Blueberry and champagne donut, a peculiar combination that may win your heart and soul at one bite, beautifully drizzled with blueberry glaze and bedded with creamy cheesecake mousse, cookie crumbs, and finished with a drowsy compote of champagne. What an Instagram-worthy masterpiece! Donuts can easily satisfy a wide variety of dietary needs, with baked vegan donuts, gluten-free donuts, and charcoal black donuts. As summer's hitting so hard, perhaps a classic donut and fresh iced coke, anyone?